What is up, YouTube? It's Kingfisher745, and this video is going to be all about the Epic Boss of Special Operations 18. In case you didn't know it, the Epic Boss can be found in Mission 3, and it happens to be none other than the Green Goblin. So what we're going to do is show all the character-specific deployments, and then the battle itself with the Epic Boss Green Goblin. First up, you're going to need Agent Venom. This was a PvP reward hero, so that means he's going to cost 135 command points. Next up, you're going to need another even more recent character. Gamora from the Guardians of the Galaxy will be your second named character deploy, and her recruitment cost is 90 command points. So far that brings our total cost up to 225 CP. But I do have some very good news for you. The next deploy is going to only cost you 15 command points. That is, of course, if you don't already have her. I guess you could say we did catch kind of a break with Miss Marvel being the final deploy. This also brings our final total to 240 command points, and that's assuming that you don't have any of these characters at all. Now, after you complete all of the regular threats and the deployments, you will start to see this dialogue. The text speaks of Spider-Man engaging Green Goblin, so of course Spidey will be the team-up. The battle's not too terribly difficult this time, but I do have a pretty underpowered setup. I'm going to be using Hogan just because I wanted to continue leveling him, and I'm also using Spidey in his black costume. The reason for this is simply that I switched to it during the PvP season for the Bruiser bonus. So he doesn't have any of his E-ISO, and I'd rather be using the Amazing Spider-Man costume. Then I believe instead of using my regular weapon setup that's usually counterattack heavy, I'm equipped with an experimental setup that I was using for the hybrid group boss, and we'll get around to that one in a future video. As far as this fight and my current setup, it should be a little more interesting than usual, because of the setup change, or at the very least it should last longer. So with all the deploys done, and all the dialogue about to be over, it's time to start the fight. In this particular epic boss fight, there will be 2 waves of enemies. But as far as bosses are concerned, there's only the Green Goblin and a bunch of test subjects. I know this is kind of odd for a symbiote-themed Spec Ops, or at least that's what I thought, but they did do a pretty good job of tying it all in the story. Oh, and one last thing I do want to mention about my agent's setup is the fact that he's using the Quick Empowered ISO 8 on the Tactician Empowered costume. Because of this, I'll be using a lot of buff actions as a quick action. Then with Spidey, I'm going to be using Web Shot a lot because of the changes to webbing. It grows stronger with each application, and on the 3rd hit with it, you will actually stun the opponent. Now, after using the Neurotrope, I'm going to use the Bashenga's blade on the middle target. This grants me an extra turn due to tactical maneuvers, and with that I'll use the first seal of Aknazsak. Or maybe I should just call it the Scroll of Uncle Zach like Epic Boss McFall. Some of you may not get that, but it's from one of the hosts of the From the Helicarrier podcast. You can find them at www.thehelicarrier.com. But anyways, back to the battle. We got to do yet another action because of that Quick Empowered ISO 8, making the Scroll's first ability a quick action. Then at this point in the battle, we have 3 turns in a row, and we should easily move on to wave number 2. Now we'll get to see the actual epic boss, and we'll see what abilities he has. Most likely he'll just have an HP boost. Spider-Man gets the first turn, and we're going to use Spider Sense, followed by his Web Shot. Then the Delta Blaster is going to take his turn, and first he's going to fire on Hogan. Hogan dodges and counterattacks with a wind-up swing. Then Spidey's actually going to protect against the next attack. He'll counterattack, finishing the Delta, and he gains an extra turn. Because of that, we get to unleash a pretty big web slingshot, and then Hogan follows up with an arrow. Now this is where my agent's setup isn't very optimal. We do get an extra turn because of the empowered costume, and then I just end up using it to recharge my stamina. So I guess it didn't work out as bad as I first thought it would. Next, I'm going to use the Improbability Field, and then follow it up with the Bashenga's blade. This attack, if it hits, will most likely finish the epic boss, and it does. So like I said, the fight is pretty easy. The most trouble that you'll probably have is with the deploy characters. That is, if you don't already have them recruited. Now moving on to the epic boss roulette. Like normal, we do have some command point options, as well as 3 times and 5 times sandboxes. Then I have to admit I was sort of surprised by the weapon, because I didn't pay attention to where the sticky situation set items were. This time the epic boss does not have a part of the set, and that's kind of a good thing. Instead they have another glider, this one that hits all enemies. It is a summon attack, and it applies poison with a chance to apply weakened, internal bleeding, or off balance. Unfortunately, we aren't going to win it this time, instead we get 3 command points. Now we're going to take a look at the final dialogue, and then we will wrap up the video. The very next video is most likely going to be a hybrid scrapper class, and then the next part of the task list will follow soon after. That means I'll be closing in on Anti-Venom, and I am getting closer to Sandman. I'm currently at 5 of 8 covers. Let me know how many covers you have in the comment section below. Besides all of that, I do plan on doing a few more Chapter 5 videos. So please stay tuned for those future videos, and make sure to subscribe. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and a comment. I hope you're all doing very well in the Spec Ops, and I wish you luck in getting Anti-Venom and Sandman. Thank you all for watching, and take care.